So you mentioned Reece James a little bit earlier. I want to touch on the right-back situation that England has at the minute, but start off with tell us a little bit about Reece James, because you were at Wigan when he was there as a youngster.
I think we spotted him playing for Chelsea under 23s against Lincoln. Paul Cook, the manager, got him in, and then pre-season, just the pre-season, he gets the ball out, but he gets team play out, and then you see this kid, 1-2s, getting the byline, cutting it back, knocking balls in the what we call the corridor of uncertainty, and you're going, this kid can play. This kid can play. He's going to go, and anybody I spoke to says, "Hey, Chelsea have got one. Chelsea have got one here." And he was a brilliant pro, brilliant in the gymnasium, looking after himself, conscientious. But I'll tell you what, desire to win. And then he had a problem with a few injuries. He put him in the middle of the park. And he was the best player in the middle of the park. He was magnificent. And when you see a good young player and you go, wow. And to be fair to you, it wasn't good judgment. It was him being a player. If you were there, if you were Coco the Clown,
you just go like this when you get a player like that. You go,
you go, yeah.
Thank you.
You see it.
Thank you.
You do. You go, wow.
The less time you have to spend with him, the better.
Yeah.
The less time you have to spend with the players, the better, because they got it.
Outstanding.
They get it. You got,
And I think he should play in if he's fit in the England side, but. How much of a compliment to that? He's getting in before Walker. Kyle Walker has been absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
outstanding. Trippier. There's some players there.
Unbelievable.
And to be
the
fair,
more right backs that we got, the left backs in it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. So that's how much I rate him as a player, because Kyle Walker is a great player and has been a great player and won things.
So if they're all fit, Trent, Trippier, Walker, James, what order? If they're all fit, what order?
If they're all fit, that's a telling question.
Yep.
James, Walker.
Like to push his James first, Walker second.
Trent Alexander. Well, if they're all fit, then I have to go for how are they playing now?
Right.
Because we're talking right
System,
now.
Yeah.
So Trent's not playing great now.
Yeah.
Got took off.
Yeah.
Love him. I think he's an unbelievable footballer. But
great player.
Nobody's taught him how to defend yet. So I said that before
in
an episode last time, and I still say it now. It's nowhere near as important as our day, because our day was the most important thing first. Yeah. Defending. Now it's the second most important. So I've got James and Trippier at the minute as 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah. So how big of a problem is it, or how much of a worry is it for England? Because as it stands, we don't know if James, Walker and Trent will be fit for the World Cup. So how much of a problem is that for England? Will Trippier be able to handle it on his own?
The bottom line as a manager, you want them all fit. You want them all fit. If they're not fit, you don't worry about that then.
Okay.
The cards have been dealt. You just got to have your belief in Trippier. Would I have belief in Trippier? Yeah. So you've got to be positive.
Yeah.
You've got to be positive. You can't.
I like that.
He's on top of his game at Newcastle now. He won the league with in Spain.
Yeah.
Hey,
by the way, he went over there and played as well.
Went over and played every game.
Atletico Madrid,
And like I say, he can still play. And the beauty of him, he can play left back all day.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, he can.
I mean, I'm a fantasy football manager. That's my experience, and I have Trippier in my team. So, yes, we're kind of similar, the three of us. And you mentioned Trippier being able to play those variety of positions. How important is he for a squad, especially a squad going to the World Cup where you've got those players?
I think it's very important, but it's a bit like Dyer. He's the same. He can play centre midfield, centre back, and so he's got a couple of positions. I mean, we look at Declan Rice. This doesn't happen normally. Normally, when you start off up front, you go back the way. Declan Rice started as a centre half all his life, and now ends up a great centre midfield player. So he's been moved out of his natural position.
He can handle that though.
into being. And now, if you said to him, "Go and play centre half," he'd go, "What? I don't want to play centre half. What I mean, you know, whereas in the beginning, the man would say, go and play centre midfield for me. Go, well, I'm not so sure I want to do that. Like, and now he's just taken to it brilliantly. So, yeah. I always say to players, don't tie yourself down to one position, because you're only being available for selection for one position. If you come in and see me as a manager and say, I just can't play there, just don't play me there, just don't. And I'd say, look,
Do me a job.
I will take the can, I will take the stick, and it was me that asked you to play in that position. And if you say, what a bad game he has, it's, yeah, it's my fault. I put him out of position. It didn't work. It's my fault. I asked him to do a job for me. It didn't work. So I take the pressure on that way, and then say, but we need you to try and go. And then sooner, like Declan Rice, they end up not wanting to go back to their old position if it goes well.
Yeah.
And they keep getting selected. But, you know, you can then drop them back there if you're struggling with injuries or suspensions. And you say, well, just drop back there for a couple of games, and then you'll be back wherever you are before, you know. So that flexibility in a player, you know, we call them utility players in our day.
Well,
He's a good utility player.
Pep Guardiola has said that Phil Foden could play in 5 positions and could play in left back if he needed to.
Yeah, I'm sure he could.
Well, I'm not going to argue with Pep.
Neither am I.